Hello and welcome to Thursday's maths session. So today we are going to be taking all the knowledge that we have learnt from our fractions, our percentages, anything we know about decimals, and we're going to put them all together into one big session to check what we have remembered. So for the virtual lesson today, we're just going to go over some of these key things to remind ourselves. So it's nothing new. We're not learning any new skills, but we're recapping on some skills that we might have done a while ago this term that you might have forgotten. So we're just going to go back over them. So as a warm-up, we're going to start with the things we've done most recently, which is percentages and fractions of amounts. So we did those this week and last week. So these are the most recent in our heads. So what I want you to do is pause the video and have a go at working these questions out by yourself, and then unpause the video when you are ready for the answers. Okay, let's really quickly go through the answers then, and let's get going. So 60% of 200, so you could have worked out 50%, which is 100, 10%, which is 20, add them together gets you 120. So that should have been a really quick, easy one for you to work out. 1/5 of 390, so when we're finding a fraction of amount, we divide the whole number by the denominator and times it by the numerator. So 390 divided by 5 gives us 78. Times that by 1, we still get 78. Now 43% of 50. So we know that 10% of 50 is 5, and we need 4 lots of those for 40. And we know to find 1%, we divide it by 100. So that would give us 0.5, and we need 3 of those. Add them all together, you should have got 21.5. And then finally, question number 4, 3/9 of 567. So we've got 567 divided by 9, times that by 3 gives us 189. So hopefully those answers were quick and simple for you, because that is what we have done most recently. Okay, we're going to cover a few other things just as a recap. Really easy. Today you'll have questions such as what fraction of the shape is shaded. Now remember, really simple. So the numerator, because we're working with fractions, is how many parts of the shape is shaded. So we've got 3 that are shaded red here. And then the denominator is how many shapes, how many sections the shape is split into, including those that have been shaded. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if you happen to have a question that can be simplified, you can choose to simplify it, or you can choose to leave it as it is. That is completely fine. Okay, so that one's really simple. That one's a really quick recap. You also might have a question that involves ordering fractions, comparing and ordering, and we did this right back at the beginning of the term. Now, if you remember, the easiest way to order fractions is to convert them all to the same denominator. So in this question, we've got 3/4, 1/10, 2/8, 6/10, and 1/2. Now to order them, and we're ordering them biggest to smallest because we're ordering them on a number line on this question, you need to first of all make them all the same denominator. So you need to find a number that is in the 4 times table, the 10 times table, the 8 times table, and the 2 times table. Okay, so if you're happy to go with that and you know what the number is, the smallest number that comes in all of those, then I would pause the video and have a go at turning them all into that number and ordering them. If you're not sure, then stick with me, because I'm going to give you a hint. And the hint is that all of the fractions go into 40ths. Now remember, when you're doing 40th, you need to work out what you times them by. So if we need to change 3/4 into 40ths, what do I times 4 by to get 40? I times it by 10. Hopefully this is coming back to you. And then you need to do whatever you did to the denominator to the numerator. So you do 3 times 10. So 3/4 is the same as 30/40ths. So now I want you to pause the video, turn them all into 40ths, and then have a go ordering them smallest to biggest on the number line. Okay, so hopefully you all made your fractions out of 40ths to be able to order and compare them on the number line. So if you have a look, I have made all my fractions 40ths above. And then it should be really easy to order them. Remember, when you're ordering them, you're ordering the original fraction, not your changed one. Your changed fraction is just to help you compare them to each other. Now, we know that halfway is right in the middle, so that we know 1/2 is there. We know that 1/2 is the same as 20/40. And so if we have a look, so 2/8 is 10/40. So that should become exactly halfway between our half and our 0 as best as you can. So 2/8, because we've got 20/40 is here. So 10/40 must be exactly halfway there. So that's 2 of our numbers. And now the other numbers will be slightly more of an estimate because they're not exactly the same. So we've got 24/40, which is just going to be just ahead of our half. So that is 6/10, sorry. So just a little bit ahead, doesn't have to be exactly where mine is. Then we've got 30/40. So if we've got 20/40 here and 10/40 here, 30/40 is going to be exactly halfway between the half and the 1. So that would be 3/4. And then we've just got our 4/40, which is 1/10, which is going to be very close to our 0 up this end of our number line. So hopefully you got something similar like that. So if you're comparing or ordering them, always convert them into the same denominator, because then it's really easy to see which one's smallest and which one's biggest. So hopefully we remember that one. Okay, how do we convert a mixed number to an improper fraction? This should be a quick recap, a quick fix. So what we do is we are working in fifths. So our fraction is going to be out of fifths. So we've got 4 and 2/5. Now 1 whole is the same as 5/5. So I've got 4 lots of 5/5. So 5, 10, 15. So I've got 20/5. So 4 wholes is the same as 20/5. And then I've still got this 2/5 left. So I just add that to my 20/5. So my final fraction is 22/5. So hopefully that makes sense to you. We've done a lot of that, so that should be a quick recap for you as well. Okay, and then looking at the opposite. So how do I convert an improper fraction to a mixed number? So we're going the opposite to what we just did. So we're working in sixes. So we need to work out how many lots of 25 go into 6. So we want to divide 25 by 6. So we're thinking about our 6 times table. So 6, 12, 18, and we need to see how close we can get to 25. So 6 goes into 25 4 times, and you have 1 remaining. So hopefully you got that right. So if I put 25 6 into a mixed number, we've got 4 wholes, because that's how many we could get 6 into 25 in wholes, and then we've got 1 left over, which is our remainder down here, and we're working in sixths, so it's 4 and 1/6. So hopefully you got that one right as well. Okay, moving on is a quick recap of what we've all just done. So we've done lots of this. So we've got adding and subtracting of fractions, we've got timesing and dividing. So when you add or subtract a fraction, you never add the denominator or subtract it. So the denominator stays the same. If it's already the same like it is in that one, that's perfect. So you just add across the top. So that would become 3/9. Now, this one's a little bit trickier because you need to make them the same denominator like we just did when we ordered them. So I can get 5 into 10. And I can do that by timesing this fraction by 2. I do the same to the top as I do to the bottom. So 4 times 2 is 8. So now I've got 8/10, take away 2/10. And so that would leave us with 6/10 as the answer to that one, which we can then simplify further if we want to. Then when we're timesing fractions, remember we're just timesing the top by the top. So 2 times 4 is 8. And then 3 times 5 is 15. So we've got 8/15 there. And then when we're dividing a fraction by a whole number, the numerator stays the same. So we've got 3. And then we times the denominator by the whole number. So 3/30, which you could simplify down if you wanted to. So hopefully that is a recap of the 4 core things that you can do, the core calculations with fractions. So hopefully that's fresh in your mind as well. And then the final thing that you will need to remember is how to find equivalent fractions and how to simplify fractions. So do you remember we did equivalent fractions all the way back at the beginning of term? And so you need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number, and then that will give you an equivalent fraction. So if I had 5/10 and I times both the denominator and the numerator by 2, I'd have 10/20. 10/20 is the same as 5/10, and it works with dividing as well. So to get the number smaller or to get the number bigger, as long as you times or divide both the top and the bottom of the fraction by the same number, it will always be equivalent. And if you remember, we looked back at the equivalent fraction rule all the way back at the beginning of term. So you might want to keep this picture up. You might want to keep that in the back of your mind. We've also done a lot of simplifying fractions. Now remember, when we're simplifying a fraction, we're thinking of our factor bugs. And so we're thinking about the factors of, say, for example, 8 and 12. So we do a factor bug of 8, a factor bug of 12, and we'd find the lowest, so this the biggest factor that is in both of them, and that will get us to the smallest fraction because we divide it by that. So the factor that is both of 8 and 12 is 4, so I divide the top by 4, the bottom by 4, so that would give me 8/12 simplified. Now this might be all fine to you might be happy with this, but if you just need a little bit of help, you might want to keep this screen up to remind you when you're doing the questions. As I say, all the questions that are on the worksheet today, on the quiz today, we've covered, so it's no new skill, so you should be okay with working them out. So if you ever need to come back for a recap while you're doing the maths today, then just find the bit of the video that you need a bit of explanation for and apply that to the question that's in front of you.